Hello, this is Ryan. I am going to show the difference between a 92FS slide and a 92G slide for disassembly of the safety mechanisms. There's always a lot of confusion about how to take apart a G model slide, so to avoid some of the confusion between the G and the FS, I thought I would just show both. So let's start with the FS model. It's pretty well known since it's such a common model and used in the military. To make this video a little simpler, I've already removed the right side safety lever, which is just accomplished by putting the safety down and taking out these couple of pins on top. And I've also already removed the firing pin block, which is removed by just taking out this pin, and then the firing pin block comes out the bottom of the slide along with the spring. So at that point, all you have to do on an FS slide to take out the safety mechanism is use a pin or a punch or a screwdriver or whatever to push in the firing pin, and at that point the safety lever rotates up. Once the safety lever's up, you can push through and remove the safety. Now, what I like to do for simplicity to keep the detents and the springs from disappearing into Never Never Land is I simply put the slide into a plastic bag, pop out the safety so it catches all the springs and detents, and now it's disassembled. It's just that simple, and you can see the grooves in the slide that are kind of angled, the mill areas that allow the firing pin plunger to make its way through. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to reassembly of the FS slide. I've gone ahead and put all the parts back into place. This is how I usually do this step, is I have the safety lever in, I have the detent and spring in on both the right side frame and the right hand slide and the left hand safety lever. So now, by pushing down on this detent on the right hand side, I can slide the safety over to where it holds that into position. It is now stopped on just this detent on the right hand side. I usually like to do this next step in a plastic bag because it does have a tendency to launch these parts into orbit, but I'll try to do it here without. Again, now I can hold down the detent on the left hand side and push the slide to the right into position, and now the gun is reassembled, and I can at this point push the safety lever back into place, and now it's a working safety. It just needs the wing put on for the lever on the right hand side and the firing pin stop, and at that point reassembly is done. So it's just that easy. Now we will move on to the G model slide. So again, I've started with the safety lever on the right side removed and the firing pin block removed. A note on the G model is that it's a little trickier to get the wing off, the lever off on the right side, because the FS model you can just put it in safe and drive those pins out. The G model, you actually have to hold it at about that position while you hold the punch and drive out the pin, so it's a little more of a pain. Now you remember on the FS model, at this point all we had to do was to push in the firing pin, and then we could lift up on the safety to do the disassembly. On the G model, I'll see if I can zoom in there so you can see it. Hopefully it's somewhat clear. There is this detent and spring that goes down into the slide this way that prevents you from being able to rotate the safety levers up. So the trick is to be able to hold this detent down while you rotate the safety up. What I've found is when you push the safety lever down, it creates a gap in there where I can then actually stick my punch and let the safety return. I have to kind of force it up. This actually will get my punch stuck in there, but it's on top of that detent where I can then push it down. It's a very stiff spring in order to return that safety, so it's a little bit of force, and hopefully I can do it the first time here, is that I push down far enough that I can rotate the safety up just a little bit to where now it's caught on the firing pin, keeping it from rotating up. And at that point I treat it just like I did the FS, where I push in on the firing pin and the rest of the way up on the safety. And at that point I can do just like I did with the FS model, where I push the safety lever out from the right side through to the left. And again, I like to do this in a plastic bag, otherwise I spend the rest of my night searching for parts. So this way it's just a quick spring, and that right side safety is rather, or that detent on that right side is rather strong sprung, so it will go flying. And now you can see that I've removed the safety. So it's just that simple, and now the G model has been disassembled. Okay, we'll now move on to the reassembly of the G model slide. At this point I'm going to go ahead and put it in this little plastic bag to start off, because that right hand detent spring is so strong that actually when I disassembled the part, I just about launched the spring through the bag. The detent was through and the spring was halfway through, so it really is strong and it does go flying. So at this point I'm going to do much like I did on the FS slide. I'm going to push that detent down while applying pressure on the other side of the safety, to where the slide, or the safety slides into the slide just enough to catch that right hand detent. So now that's back together, and just now it's exactly like the FS part, where I have this detent on the left side to slide into the safety mechanism, and I can then push the safety all the way through the slide, and then at that point I just push the lever down and the slide has been reassembled. It's ready for the safety on the right side, the little wing, and the firing pin block. So hopefully that helps clear up the difference in the disassembly of the two slides. Thank you.